Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Jedi Network. Return of the Knicks podcast here with one of your hosts, Donald the Watch Along, BX Sports Jedi Kev. We have in the game room the world-renowned Michelin star Chef Dan will be joining us shortly. I just wanted to say good evening, and we're going to talk some Knicks basketball tonight. One of the rare podcasts we do of the New York Knicks. It is our review. We have had the honor, the privilege to do 3 years on the Sports Jedi network of the watch alongs of the New York Knicks. We've seen some really good, we've seen some bad, at times a little ugly, and this 2024, 23-24 season, in my perspective, and I understand there's a lot of media members or other folks that are saying, why are you celebrating them losing game 7 on the semifinals to Indiana on the home court? Look, that one game 7, in my opinion, is not to be excited or happy about, because you're at home on a game 7, you have the crowd behind you, and listen, no one really played defense. The team couldn't do a stop. They couldn't hit a bucket. They played one of their worst performing offensive and defensive game of the season. You could say, the postseason. Let's be honest with you, with that. Knicks rarely never get blown out. Look, we all know not to go down to revisionist history. Brunson and it's not excuses. The injuries caught up to this team. It's not going to take away the way we felt, or what we, at least myself, I could say, feels about the Knicks season. From the very beginning of the tip-off through the ups and downs of the regular season, the trade right before the new year was rung in. I mean, we'll talk all about that, but let's say hello to Chef Dan, who's joining me right now. Salute, Chef.
Hello, Jedi. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I want to thank you for the plates that you prepared there. I see you made me a hamburger with some French fries, and I see you have your steak on the table. So thank you. Thanks for preparing the meals on the table.
Yeah,
Hey, before we get going, we're talking a little bit about the Knicks, but let's acknowledge the chat, Mr. Big Task at Hand. Always there. I want to thank Big Task at Hand. Always hyping us up. Always bringing that Knick pride. Always talking to them. And talking to them loud on every stream, joining us on the watch alongs. I mean, this is a day of reflection, a day of celebration, a day of what do we do next? Because we're going to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and hopefully not too much, a little bit of the future, because the future is still uncertain, Chef Dan. But I was giving my takes there as we say hello to Sheldon Darrow Johnson is joining us. What's up, my brother? What's up, my family? Salute to you. I wanted to talk about this season, especially, the national media, especially Sports Radio 66. And again, this is not going after WFAN. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I want to respect that. Everyone has their opinion, their thoughts. But when you opinionate with not seeing the whole main idea or being in the trenches, it kind of bothers us who's been there from day one of the season, Chef Dan. Am I out of the ordinary? Or what's your thoughts here?
It's not even that it bothers, like, it. All right, it definitely bothers us, not for the sentiment of, it feels like you're talking bad for our team. It bothers us from a standpoint of, like, this is the initial thing, is that whenever you go on to any of these platforms, right, and you're listening to them talk about the sport, before they even get to the sport, the first thing they do is, and hey, it may be advertisement or whatever, but if you believe it, then you shouldn't be just nonchalantly saying it. First thing they tell you is, hey, we're the number one rated, this, that, and so forth and so on, right? So with being number one rated, especially when hear that comes with knowing that, hey, there's an informed take, there's a take that has some context and at least something to know that, all right, you're paying attention to the product. But a lot of these takes that are being given is like you're not very much paying attention to the product. And we're not saying to live and die on every possession, sure. But if at the very least you had a precursor to have watched this team for all 82, and not even, let's say all 82, but let's say you watched 60 of the games. 55-60, being modest, then at that point, you wouldn't have a problem with the fans' reaction. If you have a problem with the fans' reaction, that's only because at the end of the day, you didn't watch this team during the regular season. You waited until the postseason to have a take. You watched the standings and you made an assumption based on the numbers you saw. But not every number that you see gained is equivalent. Even when you watch the Western Conference, how there was a log jam because a lot of the teams had a similar number of victories. Not every victory was similar. So now not every team is equivalent that way. You have to have context behind your take. You can't just say, oh, this team lost and that's it. There's always a context because not every athlete, even down to the minute of running the court the same, they don't do it the same. So when you have these takes, it's because you're not informed. You weren't watching, you weren't paying attention, and we can tell.
I can see that, and it could be a little bit of laziness, one, or again, I'm gonna put myself in the shoes. I'm gonna put myself really in those shoes of those sports. Again, because I do a lot of some people say too many watch-alongs of too many different sports, but I'm able to get a conversation going and captivate the essence of the sport that we're watching along. That's why I kind of take a little bit of a step back. That's why I made the decision for now until this winter sports is completely done to do a Yankee game. I was home. I could have done the afternoon matinee Yankee game today, but when am I going to take a minute to breathe and watch? And I watched the game fully. I can give you details of the game today. But again, you're running yourself so much rampant. You don't want to overdo it because I also wanted to close out the Knicks season. So I would have done the Yankee game. I think I would have not done the right service to the New York Yankees as well as the Knicks to talk about them the way we want to discuss, because we have everyone in the chat. We have Knicks fans that want to hear our perspective. They like us to watch along and do the play-by-play and do the games at the moment, but they want to also hear our takes after we register it, digest it, and put some of our what is our mental or mentality of our maturity as a basketball fan. What do we think? I mean, again, we're not media. We're not media where we're just fans talking to the fans about our thoughts, that we have the guts to go on a platform and talk about it for everyone to listen to us. So I understand when some of these folks don't have the time to watch this, but don't go out there then and don't be a parrot. That's all I ask. For guys that are in that position that we kind of would love to be in and get paid for to talk about basketball or talk about sports night in, night out. We would love that, and I want them to understand that don't be parrots. Take an observation and say something that really comes from you, not what's being regurgitated or what is the stereotype out there. Like, oh, Thibodeau guys get hurt because he plays too many minutes. And as we can see, before the postseason, none of those players were in the NBA top in minutes played, Chef.
Yeah, it's not. Once again, when we said that's not you hit the nail right on the head. That's not an original take, and that's not a take backed by information. That's the realization that we've come to. Like, how many years now has this internet been on this earth that people are taking, having their takes on the internet? You can do shock value things and it'll circle around. Yeah. But now we're getting to the point where it's like, even if you get that initial shock value, you get it for maybe a couple hours, maybe a day, but then everyone just immediately dismisses you and tells you you don't know what you're talking about. That's the way it goes now. You have to have some type of data or information behind the take that you're making for you to say this. That's why certain things you put a precursor, like me and Jedi, when we're talking, we're like, all right, we'll put a precursor to say, yeah, we feel like this, but in all actuality, this, hey, the information may not back what we're saying, but based on what we're seeing, this is what we feel like is going on. And not a lot of people are giving themselves that latitude. They're just jumping right off the cliff with, once again, no information to back what they're saying. So that's the most disturbing part. It's kind of like, in a world where the information's right there at your fingertips, you're not even doing the basic homework to go and get it.
Yeah, and it leads me to this point, and we'll talk more of the Knicks here. Right now, we're actually lambasting a little bit of the media, for believe it or not, because we see one of the afternoon drive on WFAN, Evan Roberts. He's a big Brooklyn Net fan. We know that. He also has season tickets to the Knicks. He's trying to make a few dollars. He likes He's a sports. He likes sports. His fandom, I'm not gonna debate it because I listened to him. I followed him, but for him to get and attack Knicks fans for being happy they lost and giving Josh Hart a standing ovation when he fouled out in game 7 and coming on and ridiculing the Knicks fan. I don't know. I guess we're in a living. And I said it all the time. We live, and I see a lot of other podcasters that want to do the clickbait, so you could tune in and say, "Ooh, I can't believe he said that." And I don't know if he's clickbaiting or gaslighting the Knicks fans to listen to the show and get the heat, because he's also a wrestling fan as well and want to generate that heat towards him, at least getting some kind of reaction. If no one cares about you, then you're not really going to be an afternoon drive. And if everyone dislikes you, people are listening because they say the more they dislike you, the more they tune in to want to ridicule and go after you. So I don't know if he's gaslighting the fans, but for him to get upset at us for giving Josh Hart a standing ovation of what he did to step in where Julius Randle goes down, the injuries piles up, and he out there playing 47 minutes. He strains an abdominal, still gives it a go, still going balls to the wall. Not asking out. How many quarters in a row did he play without taking a bench, a break, a sprint of water, or, hey, I need to sit down just to gather my breath? That's where we're celebrating. That's where we're giving our admiration, our thoughts. Not only we're paying your high salary with the T-shirts, the money, the concession, the league pass, but when we have a chance to serenade you, we want to stand on our feet. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, Chef.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a twofold thing that I'm gonna address with that. Number one, that's the disease of ring culture.
Okay.
When I say the disease of ring culture, I don't mean it in the sense of like not everyone should be going for the championship. Me and John, we're in agreement of that. Like, the championship is the ultimate goal. We're wrestling fans. We're sports fans in general. We get it. Like, the ultimate prize is the ultimate prize. You should not downplay that. But also, which is why, like, as much as sports fans, they're awesome. They also make us sick to our stomachs sometimes, because you sit there and you will want all these documentaries from all these athletes about what they went through and things of that nature, and not knowing that, man, it's the journey is as important as the destination, if not sometimes even more. The journey will sometimes dictate how you get to your destination and whether you're going to be ready to really fulfill what you need to fulfill once you get to the destination. Like, that's so important and can't be disregarded, which is why I'm going back to it, the disease of ring culture. Like, for some seasons, you didn't need a ring to validate it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, like, that's like, Jedi, the We Believe Warriors were the precursor to the Golden State Warriors that we see right now.
Excellent point.
And that team is celebrated not because they won a championship, but because effort in professional sports is sometimes so hard to gauge. But when you can clearly see it, the only thing you can do is applaud it.
Correct.
So we're talking about an NBA that literally had to implement a minimum game rules, a minimum games played rule, just for guys to qualify for accolades, because they felt that they were cheating fans out of certain accolades that other guys deserved. And did they get it right this year? No. They're still working on it.
Correct.
But for the fans, Go ahead, Jenny.
Go. Finish your thought. I want
Saying
you to
for the
finish your thought.
fans to have been so, like, they were so happy and so like disgusted at certain NBA players that were complaining about it. Oh, I guess they're complaining about PTO with this, that, whatever. And then to churn right back around and then you snub those same fans for applauding effort.
Right.
It just goes to show, man. And is this the same guy that he came home from doing, I don't know, he was fired from WFAN for a while. He had to go take care of some business that wasn't, all in the up and up. Came back and his job was right there waiting for him, right?
No, that's Craig Carton. No,
Oh,
that's
okay.
no. Evan Roberts is the other gentleman. But the point where Evan Roberts, and it's not attacking Evan. I said I'm a fan of Evan Roberts. I liked him in the midday, but just the part that he getting upset with us. This is a guy who signed Kevin Durant to sit a year in his franchise. He said he didn't care, rest, because my franchise has been dog awful, terrible, and to the thought of getting 3 class athletes in Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and then Harden to play, my God, he thought of a championship. And for him to come and get upset at Knicks fans, again, like you said, and that's what I was going to say, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, was like, these guys played. This team didn't do the low management situation. This team had players leave because of bad injuries. Julius Randle fell on his shoulder going for a rebound. OG Anunoby injured, with the surgery before in his knee. Those injuries, it's not because of the minutes. It's just circumstance of the wear and tear of the NBA game. And these guys wanted to play back and play. And again, the Knicks, if you're a Knicks fan or you want to go see the New York Knicks, you're going to get your money's worth because you're not going to have Julius Randle or Brunson or anyone on the team that's take all day off of load managing. And that's got to be appreciative in this modern NBA where that was the main complaint. Like you said, they put a rule. If you want to win any MVPs or bonuses, because those awards are bonuses for the players, and especially when it comes to the way the contracts are structured, if they make a certain tier, all NBA, third team, second team, it adds more money into their contract extension, what we'll get to in a minute. And I got to appreciate, that's as Knicks fans, we're proud. And we take pride of the progress that this team made here in 2023-24 because we have a nucleus, a foundation, a core of not just one players, but quite a few young players put together in the Villanova 3, along with Miles McBride. And if some of us may or not want Jericho Sims, you could say, because he's one of our draft class that has been held around and is still a serviceable player, even if he's the 12th or 11th man off the bench, Chef Dan. So what the Knicks are doing, they're structured, there's foundation there. Even Mitchell Robinson is one of our own that re-signed, second round draft pick. That's part of the nucleus, Chef. So what we're seeing is progression because we got players that are in this league that could go to any other team and either start or serviceable. Not even. And this team has gotten us 2 years in a row to the semifinals.
It's like that's literally it. Like you can click, like if you walked away from the Game 7 loss just all the way deterred and feeling like this team has no future, then you weren't watching. Once again, you weren't paying attention to what is being done. You're not sitting there hearing certain details that you keep in the back of your mind to go, okay, that's going to play out, not for now, but for later, because not everything needs its instant gratification right then and there.
Exactly. We're in a microwave. We're in a microwave television dinner type of society, even from everything, from the basketball to the wrestling to everything. They want baseball. They want the instant gratification. I want it now. I want it there. They don't know that, when you have a seed and you go put it in the ground, you have to have it germinate and have to wait and give it water and nourish and sunlight for it to grow. It's a process for it to grow and sprout. So when it grows and sprouts, guess what it does? It gives you wonderful fruit. But you have to be patient. And I know us
Jedi,
Knicks fans are going crazy. It's 50s plus years. Have more patience. Listen, I've been waiting for the Knicks to get back to the finals since '99, and actually have a chance to be in the lead of the finals since '94. So talk about patience. I get it.
Jedi, we not even the microwave era. We in the era of Ozempic and BBLs. That's what we're in the era of where like they just don't want to see like man.
And it sucks. Nobody wants to lose. I don't want to. I listen. I hated seeing that Monday night. And when we were watching the end of Monday Night Raw, watching the Celtics and the Pacers finish off that last few minutes of the game. I was wishing it was the Knicks there. Of course, who doesn't? I wish I was getting ready for Game 2 here tonight. Getting ready, when it's in another hour right now. I'll be going through my pregame ritual, getting ready, with the videos and getting ready to do the call of the game. I would have loved that personally, but hey, but the future is bright. We're building here. And we're building alongside Jalen Brunson. And then and for Jalen Brunson, I mean, I don't even know what to say no more when it comes to Jalen Brunson. I have no words, Chef Dan. Be honest with you. And because all indication, according to Steve Popper and all indication, Jalen Brunson is ready to sign a 4-year, $156 million extension with the Knicks this offseason. Of course, it's going to be a total of $181 for 5 years if he structures. He is leaving $115 million on the table because he could wait. He doesn't have to agree to take that little money. But he says, you know what? I need a team to build around me. He understands he is the captain. He's the you could say the captain, the engine that could, the 1A, whatever you want, all those cliches. But he says, but without the 1A, I need soldiers. I need a partner. I need players around me to help me get to the. I could do when the times gets tough, I'll roll my sleeves and get in there. But I need other guys to help me get there. And for him to do that, in the modern NBA, when everyone's considered to be greedy, to consider, the Harden, give me $56 million, the Lillard, $52 million. And Brunson's willing to say, he continues to impress me. If this is all reports are true, remember, this is speculation from reporters. If I see him sign that ink on that contract, and that's the number he gets, Chef, man, Brunson gets it.
Man. It's just no words to really. The minute I saw that news, I was coming home from work. I was so tired. Talk about a piece of news that gets you energized. And I'm on the train like, where's Jedi? We could do a video about this right now. But it's like, yo, calm down a little. Calm down a little. Let's let, all things breathe. And if that's not leadership, then I don't know what is. And I don't mean, just because he left the money on the table. It's knowing what it implicates. It's knowing what it can do. Right. And there's guys, man, that
doesn't care. I'll give me all the money. You figure it out. Draft, get someone, figure it out. Or I'm good enough that I could carry the whole team. I'll do it on my own when it's called a team.
Absolutely. Like, I'm sorry to say, but to all the people, and I'm one of those people, man. And I'm not saying I'm mad at his success, but to all the people that get mad at for the way they talk about Brady, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's the modern athlete you could compare him to.
Dude, no matter what anyone says, this is it doesn't have to. I don't have to worry about that because I'm not watching his pockets. He's not watching my. Dude, at the end of the day, this is all these sports are salary capped sports.
Yes.
If you are not cognizant of that, if you're not, if you're not aware to know what can be happening around, especially in this city, Jedi, where I'm gonna keep it all the way real. Brunson is yet to touch the off the table money.
That's true.
That's the biggest thing that people don't understand is that it took last year's run and this year run for this deal to make sense all the more because once again, and I'm gonna say this, Brunson has yet to touch that off the table money.
Absolutely. And I am so happy to hear that It's refreshing for where the athletes, again, gimme, I'm taking everything and you figure it out. I'm here to get paid. And I understand some of these athletes, again, I want to put the shoes on the athlete as well that wants to get the mega deal, wants to get as much money as possible, because they're the ones that at the age of 10, let's go 10 for argument's sake, from 10 years old out there, either the parent putting them in AU, working, running the drills, going here, going there, not having a prom, not having a childhood, because they're embedded to be great at basketball, or in this case in sport. You're going to be the top notch in your sport, putting the work in, going to college. Yeah, there might be some fun and games at sometimes, but these guys are trying to get out of something that poverty at times, and that's their motivation, or whatever situation is, and they're working their rear end, and they have a chance to make generational changing money, and they want to get every dollar possible because they remember the hard work, or mama not having the money to keep the lights on because they send me to go to training camp or to a basketball camp, and she pawned something of significant that was part of the family in lieu. I'm just using it as an example. I get that kind, and I said I want to put myself in the other shoes of the athlete, but for Brunson to do that, and look, at the end of the day, it's still a lot of money. And and I think a lot of these kids, or most of them, they don't have good financial upbringing where they know how to spend the money correctly. Listen, we all go bad when we have a couple. Look, most of us, I'll say this now, me personally, and this has nothing to do with the NBA player. If I was smart enough when I started getting income tax my first 5-10 years working, I think I would have had my house paid off years ago. I probably would have had 3 houses. Mismanaged my money when I was young, and that's just peanuts compared to the NBA players, Chef Dan.
All right, once again, man, that's someone has said it, like these guys, they come into the league 17, 18, 19. Remember, they used to want them older. Now they want them younger, younger. Want to pay them way more amounts of money because the numbers are going up for the league. It's a highly entertaining sport. So the numbers are clearly going up with the new deals that they're brokering. You combine all of that, and what you get is just a lot of mismanagement of money. And granted, the NFL, the NBA's Players Association, they have certain resources, but I can tell you this because I know for a fact, because it has never happened in the history of civilization, point blank, period. There's never been a support program that has been able to take care of all the incumbents within its system. So even if they have financial literacy programs for these NBA players, it's not for all 450 plus players.
That's true. Because every situation is different.
50 plus players can probably even get to that program, because that's the thing. If you're asking 450 players to all have the same schedule, that's not possible. They all lead different lives, different circumstances, come from different backgrounds. It is what it is in regards to that. But man, like I said, the financial literacy that this guy Brunson has, for him to know, like, I can leave a few dollars off the table for I can leave a few dollars off myself for several reasons. Number one, it helps my guys get paid.
Yeah.
And to keep, the team around me. But number two, the more important thing is, like, he knows it's New York.
That he wins here. He knows the ramification of winning here. What are the results if he wins in this town? If he was to break that, he would. I mean, my goodness, he knows the significant value there. But I'm gonna take it back a little bit to even Brunson. Brunson tried that in Dallas. Just think about that. And again, it makes me question Mark Cuban. You're on Shark Tank giving financial advice to people. And one of the most dumbest financial investment was you didn't invest 4 years, $58 million on a player that wanted that to stay there because he knew he had a generational player in Luka Doncic and a pretty good team with a team that plays in a state that doesn't have federal taxes, where the NBA player will make a little more money, even if he takes less, because he's going to take home more money. I mean, it makes me wonder what Mark Cuban has his head at.
Jedi, I'll tell you this right now: the pandemic and the crypto crash did a lot of damage to Cuban. You can see it on the way. Like, do you think he was a guy that wanted to sell the amount of stake that he did in the Mavericks?
Oh, no. But before that, before even that decision, though, that other decision of Brunson, if the reports are true, and it seems like it because it's been regurgitated, or at least this is where I question some of the media. Are they a bunch of parrots? Because one guy says it, and they're gonna say, "Oh, Wally want a cracker," and they're gonna repeat the same takes with the same thing about the contract. We all heard about it. The 4 years, $58 million that Brunson was turned down for, says go find it elsewhere. And my goodness, it's been regurgitated over and over, so it has to be some truth to it. But it makes me like, damn, he's kicking himself right now. Just think about the team, the super team that Brunson playing. And the thing is that was right before Brunson showed them when he went to the postseason and played in Utah and dropped almost 40, was it 50 points or 40 points in Utah? I mean, it makes you wonder that. But hey, his loss is our gain. We gain ourselves a building chip, a block here. Now you got the Villanova 3 that wants to play and leads us to this offseason now, because Hart took a nice deal. He opted in. He got a nice deal. DiVincenzo also got paid, but not to the money he really deserves. With DiVincenzo's numbers, he could have been easily in the most improved player of the year, and he wasn't able to. Hey, Davar, salute Davar. We'll be seeing me soon. Once the winter sports is coming out, we'll come back to the baseball. But good to see you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to hear from you, Daver. Salute. Man, good job, man. I was wondering, I was gonna send an ABA out for it, Daver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Chef, getting back to what we talk about here to this Knicks team, and seeing DiVincenzo could easily, if he would have hit open free agent market, would have get a big contract for his shooting and what he brought to the team.
Yeah, but in the same note, like from what I'm hearing, as far as there's certain conversations he had, like there was apparently no one offered him any more than what the Knicks offered him.
Hey,
it's just everyone else offered him some type of like freedom in like I think it might have been just shorter deals.
Okay, right? That's fine. But if he would have hit the open season now with the season he put with the Knicks, oof.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Here's what happens though. He's looking for advice, and he calls Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's with his wife. His wife says, Dante, you better take that contract. That's the best contract that they're going to give you out there. He goes, Drew? Drew says, you heard what my wife said. The lady spoken, that means I'm just co-signing what she said. That's it. So if anything, Jedi, we have to thank Mrs. Holiday for convincing Dante DiVincenzo, come on over here to New York. And a contract that Jedi, you remember when we spoke about it, the first thing I said, oh, this is a steal.
Absolutely. We both said that. Yeah. That was our words that came out. We were like, yo, we were very excited for the amount of money they signed to Dante DiVincenzo. And we didn't know that, and we're going to be, well, at least I'm going to say, I didn't know he was going to be most improved player like that. I thought he was going to be good, but not to he really opened my eyes on how, he fit Tom Thibodeau's system with next to Brunson and Hart, and with Randall on the court with Hartenstein, the spacing, he just fit. It was a perfect fit, perfect find. I'm bringing guys that fit what they want to do in New York.
Man, I say this. It screams psychopathic vibes to me when some of the voting for Coach of the Year came out and Josh Hart came out. And his first thing, I don't understand why Tibbs isn't in that running. It spoke psychopathic vibes when I hear Brunson, when he's like, when Brunson and Jalen are when Brunson and Hart are making fun of each other, And Hart's going, oh man, because this guy's a little kiss ass, little kiss up, little suck up. Every time he was like, hey man, we got to do what coach says. Hey man, we got to do what coach says. But they all love Tibbs. That's a culture. That's a basketball culture. Because Tibbs ain't for everybody. Like Kevin Garnett said on the Stephen A. Smith show. I don't know if you've seen that clip that's been circulating where he's talking about Julius Randle. It's like, dude, the Knicks as an identity are gritty, muddy, from the dirt, elbows and elbow pads and knee pads and 48 minutes a game. That's who we are. That's who the Knicks are. And that type of culture, it really isn't for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart.
No. And those are players that we mentioned that want to get coached. That was I don't know which player it was that they wanted to be coached and they didn't. That's one of the reasons why it failed. I'm trying to remember which professional. I don't think it was basketball. I think it was a professional sport that they wanted a coach to coach them. And now here we go, Rangers. There we go. Thinking about that, it was that with last year they had to get the coach out, and he just came off of a Stanley Cup performance, and the Rangers players said we need a coach to coach us, not let us figure it out and play a player's coach. We needed a coach to coach us X's and O's. I think Tom Thibodeau is that type of coach. He's going to give you the attention, the details. Listen, is there a shelf life for Tom Thibodeau? Just like everything in life, there's a shelf life. But I don't think Tom Thibodeau has reached the shelf life as Knicks head coach, especially when we're hearing, like you said, Hart and Brunson. They got their back. The main cogs, the building block, the foundation. Because let's face it, Hart is a foundation piece. So is Brunson. So is DiVincenzo, Randall, and even Mitchell Robinson. I think those are foundation pieces in this team. Miles McBride, and the rest are fillers right now. And hopefully, we're trying to fill them and make them a building block, be an important part of the building block or the foundation of the Knicks going forward. They're all listening to Coach Thibodeau. They fit with Coach Thibodeau, and I'm waiting for any day now because, as the news reported, Bickerstaff is out in Cleveland. They made a change. The revolving door of head coaching continues to happen in the NBA. Lakers need a head coach. Cavaliers need a head coach. Atlanta did the head coach 2 years ago. My point is, there's a lot of ring around the rosy of coaching, and most of these teams, all they do is do the same rinse and repeat cycle. The NBA would throw them a bone, have them win the first round pick, get them number one pick. They'll get a coach in here, yada yada. They do this, and then they don't fit. It's always the same coaches or the same cycle, rinse and repeat. For the Knicks to have stability, and when can we say that? For the last 5 years, the Knicks have been a stable franchise, where all we talk about dysfunction from the Luka Sanders, from Isaiah Thomas. The names are there. The laundry list of and right now we have stability in our franchise. From general manager down to president, capologist, you gotta enjoy what was happening currently on the Knicks. You gotta see what the stability and the staple, Chef Dan. The responsibility of the cap, the draft assets, not chasing the 32-year-old, 35-year-old basketball star that's fading and making him the cornerstone of the franchise. Listen, like you said earlier, there was a big difference from when they lost this Game 7 in the semifinals 10 years ago when they lost that to the block of Roy Hibbert. Because you knew that team was aging. You knew that team, there was no future to look forward to because they were aging. They needed to do it now. And they're kind of in a similar trajectory as on my New York Jets. That 54 Knicks team, that 54 win Knicks team. If they don't win now, they're gonna be back again to crap. They're like on a parallel type of trajectory. And for this Knicks to be so young with capital money, you gotta love it. You gotta like what they're doing.
Man, this whole wearing out your welcome thing, that's only dependent on who's in the building and what's going on. And we don't know if that's always the case. Like, guys, Mike Budenholzer warmed out his welcome in Milwaukee. How long ago? It took that championship, and they gave him what?
And they wanted him out. They gave him a
and
year.
They wanted him
1
out.
year.
And he won the championship out, and they gave him how much years of leeway? One.
1 year.
They gave him 1 year of leeway, and
Rivers.
when they couldn't do it again, meanwhile they're facing a Miami Heat team, and Giannis is injured again.
Yeah,
because he was injured this postseason. He was injured last postseason. Had to come in. Like, dude, that's the context was there, but they were tired of Budenholzer.
Yeah.
So, like, wearing out your welcome is only dependent on the people inside the building. The other thing too is like what you do in that season may mold and shape just how you're perceived. Like I said, once again, going back to Mike Budenholzer. Jedi, if Budenholzer doesn't get that championship, is he being hired by the Phoenix Suns right now?
No, I don't know. He would not be.
What about Frank Vogel and that championship he got in the bubble? Without that championship, does he get hired in Phoenix to do the crap job he did this year?
It bought him an extra opportunity. Although now he's gonna have to go into the college rankings or assistant coaching. I don't see him as a head coach. Although he was, and I liked it, Frank Vogel. I don't know, he had the opportunity in Orlando. It didn't work. I think that was just a great circumstances with those Pacers team that he happened to, or maybe overachieve, or people fell asleep on because the Heatles were the favorite, and anything else looked. Oh my God, I don't know. You could debate. We could debate.
Jedi, here's the messed up part for everything you've said in regards to. He then gets handed two bad hands back to back. Because when you're over at the Lakers, you just won a championship a certain way with having shooters and defenders. Right. And what do you decide to do? You decide to trade all those guys and try and get Russell Westbrook. At what point did you not dude, every team when they win a championship, let's run it back. And the Lakers didn't. They just decided, you know what? Let's just have let's just trade it all away what we won with for that. And then you go over to Phoenix, and Phoenix didn't even really necessarily want him. They wanted Ty Lue. Yeah. So when you're the option that they settled for, you're always on thin ice. It just took the being swept for them to get the boot that he got. But once again, in regards to Tibbs, I don't think he's worn out his welcome at all. If anything, I think this season has bought him ammunition for another 3-year deal. And they were willing to sign him for 5, if we got to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on we're going to talk about that. But
I want to say thank you for a moment, Chef Dan, because I have to. Chef Dan, this is a record.
I love pie.
Yeah. Thank you. I love pie. God bless you. In more ways than one, in everything, not just in financial, but health. Thank you so much. You know what? We do this because this is a love that we have for this team. I say this from deeply in my body of my heart. You guys are like family. You guys, I look forward to you because of the support and everyone from Steven to Knicks 100 to Big Task at Hand, D-Ross, everyone from Sheldon Darryl Johnson, from Dave R, from Wombat to Kelvin T. Jones, everyone are family to me, and I appreciate it. Yo, I really appreciate it. You don't know, definitely. You don't know. More ways than one, I appreciate that. I love pie. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. I'm very humble. Thank you. Thank you. Chef, now speaking about, we're talking about Brunson, the ultimate humble player in New York as an athlete. All indication, both him and Bogdanovich, where is it? Both had surgery, and they both will be evaluated 6 to 8 weeks. Brunson on the left hand, and Bogdanovich on the left wrist. They got the New York City special surgery for hands. I think they'll be fine, ready to go in 6 to 8 weeks. He'll be ready to do basketball practice. Any concerns on any setback on the surgeries?
No concerns at all, especially when you notice for Brunson, it was the surgery's kind of immediate. That's a welcoming sight to see. That's going to give him a lot more time to rest and recuperate. Also, knowing that he won't be on the Olympic team is great recovery for him.
Okay.
Bogdanovich, I noticed that some people on Twitter were kind of apprehensive as to why they felt like it felt like it may have taken him too long to get to the surgery on the wrist. But I believe he had already had surgery on the ankle, so he was recuperating from that before he went to get surgery on the wrist. So
On the wrist.
I mean, even then, like with all in regards to that, what you hope for is that, like, you know, all it was that they had to enter some sort of rehabilitation, you know, pre-habilitation before they get to the surgery, and then rehabilitation.
Okay. All right. Hopefully, speedy recovery for them, and get ready for training camp and be 100% with no setbacks, no hiccups there, for those guys. Now we're talking about we're in the conference finals right now, but a lot of rumors and notes, that's been coming out like every other NBA season. Of course, whenever you act Knicks for clicks, you're gonna get traction. A big name right now came out today. Of course, we know 76ers do have money under the cap. They could sign a max player. 76ers are showing interest, or said to put out feelers interest in OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby, the Knicks do have his bird rights. And Ewing had the same wrist injury. It was never the same. But when Ewing got that wrist injury, I believe it was 30. He was in the back end, Steven, though, when he got that injury.
The other thing too is that Ewing for the most part never addressed his injuries until they got really, really bad. Versus Brunson,
okay.
we had the luxury of, like, the break happened, he had to come out the game, and like a day or two after the break happens, he goes to get surgery. The third and the biggest thing that you have to be thankful for, why I would not have so much apprehension about this is, Steven, I don't know if you've seen, but there was a basketball player recently that just got Achilles surgery, and he was like, hey, everyone knows that Achilles surgery is the kiss of death for NBA players, and that NBA player went on to have multiple all-star seasons. And I'm not saying he's Kevin Durant,
Right.
but
right.
modern medicine has made such a leap in knowing
Yes.
what to do and what not to do. So many people have paid the prices that I think we're lucky.
It was the hand. The wrist was Bogdanovich. Bogdanovich is the wrist. The hand is Brunson. But only that, like you said, 25 years difference in modern medicine, I think makes a big difference when it comes to those surgeries. Let's just hope. We know that, dear guy, he's gonna see the top-notch doctors and New York specialists with the hands, foot, and was it hand, foot, and specialist down on 68th Street, if I'm not mistaken, down in the East Side. It's about New York for special hand surgery. I believe that's the hospital down there. They're going to be in good hands there. Guys, I'm in Orlando, Florida. So if you think, well, I thought you were a New Yorker. I'm not in New York. I live in Orlando. I've been living here for 20 years. So if I get the hospital wrong, don't hold me against it. I'm pretty close to it. Yeah, I could tell you Lincoln Hospital. I could tell you Mount Sinai. But yeah, it's been a while, Chef Dan. It's been a while. The hospital's in New York. But let's get right back into this here with the. I think Thibodeau gets a coaching extension. I believe I won't be surprised in between the finals, between the conference finals and finals before it starts. I think they'll announce a Tom Thibodeau contract extension with the New York Knicks, especially with all these coaches being relieved out. And yeah, I think I won't be surprised if he gets a 2-year deal, contract extension, and or around $9 to $10 million a year. I wouldn't be surprised, Chef.
I wouldn't be surprised about that either. He's deserving of it. So, and like we had the discussion of, like, literally after the game ended, and I still feel the same way. You you don't have a clearly better option
No.
that's out there for me right now. Unless you're telling like, and this is the crazy part, and I know he signed his contract extension already. Unless you're telling me Steve Kerr wants a trade from Golden State to New York, and nah.
Okay.
And even then, that's the one that where like you'd have to kind of cock your head to the side and go, I don't know if that's really the better option, because as good as Steve Kerr is as a coach, that man's blessed with Steph Curry now. Like,
yeah, here's a rebuttal I give you. Dolan was the owner when he offered you the job a couple years ago. He's still the owner now. What made you change your thoughts now? You didn't want to work for him before. Why now? That's my question as a fan.
Yeah.
I didn't forget that. Maybe some people might have, but I would not forget that. Why you want to work here? And of course, ladies and gentlemen, he's not working here. We're asking these hypothetical questions because it's an off season. We could ask the hypotheticals now because there's nothing right now with some concrete evidence but I asked that, I would ask the first thing, as a fan, or my question would be, why now? You didn't want to work with me before now because they're a little better. Then you're a talent chaser. You knew there was no talent here. Just be honest. Don't say Marv told me it's not a good thing to work for Dolan. Just say no, the talent was not there, wasn't good, and I didn't want to work with the lack of talent on that team. That's all. You know what? I would be like, you had the balls to say it. I respect that. I will, me personally, But that's the question I would say. But I don't think Kerr is out there. I think Thibodeau resigns, I don't. Like I said, who's going to be the better alternative when you're building something here to bring in an unknown or an unseen person who hasn't done it? You're taking a humongous gamble. It's a grand slam type of move if it works. Let's say they put Rick Brunson as the head coach or Johnny Bryant. That's a big gamble, but if it doesn't, they're going to be like, why did you let go for the bird in hand for two in the bush? And be like, and that, I can see where you could hold that for a couple more years. And maybe when it starts running its course and he's another voice of reason, then you make the move. But I want Thibodeau back. OG Anunoby now. I know we have his bird rights. This guy is going to cost anywhere from $30 to $40 million to keep him a season. I think personally, I would love if we could get him in the low 30s, 32, 33 million a year. Like if he's still going to make money and leave money on the table, so we could try to re-sign or bring extra players around him. You have to do it, Chef. Because listen, that's a lot of money. Not really, because the salary cap is going up. Player salaries are going into $40 to $50 million a season. And then when the time you look at OG Anunoby, you sign him now at that, and look at the record they had with him on the court. It's not going to be that bad of a contract. It might be a little steep, maybe a little high, maybe, but what he gives you, Chef, I'm in favor if you tell me the Knicks signed him for $35 million a year.
I'm not worried too much about it because
Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is in Philadelphia. That's the one thing.
You're absolutely right, Jedi. But here's the problem: when Nick Nurse was over in the Raptors, OG Anunoby was asking for a bigger role.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point.
There's another thing I'm going to say is, you know what? I don't care what this comes off as. It is what it is. I'm going to wait until the new cap situation, because when that number jumps, it usually dictates a lot of how, certain contracts are going to be structured. In regards to OG re-signing here or not, I'm going to keep it a bean with you, Jedi. I'm not all that concerned because his agent is Sam Rose.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is, and I'm going to say this with all bass in my voice, yo, the Knicks have clearly, with Brunson, they were willing to pay the price. We don't care. We'll tamper. So when we hear news of OG potentially looking at other teams in free agency, I go, I guess you got to make it look good. But I don't see him going. What other spot? Come on now. Let's just keep it real. Listen, Jedi, let's cut the fluff. Let's cut the fluff.
All right.
This is the CAA Knicks.
Can the
Just cut
Knicks
the flow. The
can the
Knicks,
Knicks
is what
place a injury clause on OB contract? I don't know how the CBA is. Big task at hand. I'm pretty sure they put some insurances there just in case. Because I'll give you for an example, Jonathan Isaac has a partially guaranteed contract coming up with the Magics, and their rumors has it they're going to waive and partially guarantee some of his contract, and he will go on his merry way. And because Jonathan Isaac has been injured a lot and hasn't really played after signing that nice deal with Orlando and never recovered well from that injury. And I believe they partially guaranteed and then his final year could be now is partially, and he will be no longer be an Orlando Magic. I believe they're going to waive him. There hasn't been official yet, but reports and rumors that are hearing from down here is that. So yes, they could put that, but I think it's going to be at the end of the contract, Big Task, or how many games he misses or percentage wise. I believe there is language in the contract that will protect the Knicks, but I don't know how much to that. But yeah, okay. So we thinking OG Anunoby returns. I think he will. Here's the next guy that I don't know if will return or not, and it's a concern. It's Isaiah Hartenstein. Right now, the Knicks are not. They don't have cap space, but they're not over the cap space. They're in that next level with tax exemption. They're not in the first threshold. They're underneath it. They could operate where they could sign bird rights and stuff forth. But I think the most they could offer Isaiah Hartenstein is like $17 million to $19 million a year. Don't get me wrong around that for a season. Like a team like Orlando, let's say, or even Oklahoma City Thunder, who has money, if they offer him 24, 25 million, the Knicks cannot match it, Chef.
You're absolutely right. That's the if anything, that's the one biggest concern for me, is that whether Hartenstein values, financial security versus versus familiarity. That's essentially what I would it's not, I'm not even sugarcoating it at this point. It is what it is in regards to Isaiah Hartenstein. He's earned the right to earn himself way more money this season, and he has he has the opportunity and the wherewithal to at least look at those offers. Now, at this point, you're going to ask yourself, looking at some of these offers, where these teams stand, what the picture is that they deliver to you versus the Knicks, and you being here. This would be his second going on third year if he re-signed. That would be a familiarity and I don't know how else to say it. It's just a familiarity and something like you just know.
Comfort.
It's a comfort. It's a comfort, a familiarity and a comfort that if you come back here. Granted, it may not be at the same dollar amount that all these other spots can offer you, but you know what your role is. It's defined. You know what you're going to be asked to do.
Correct. And also this, Chef, he just turned 26 years old, guys. He's a father, just a father to be or father. He's expecting his first child, or I believe his child born, whatever case, he's a first-time father with his wife. I don't know what the values are of the core of the Hartenstein family is. I don't know how it was born, whatever. Do they value, the stability in like you said, comfort where they're at now, currently where they live? We don't know if they live in Westchester, wherever he lives now. If the wife loves the comfortability in New York City, the convenience of having all these different things there to raise a family, to raise a child, and so forth, or do they have an opportunity here for Isaiah to capitalize at 26 years old to get a contract making 25? Let's put $25 million that OKC gives him, or the top value AVA that he gets going to. Oh, I go to Oklahoma because they're talking about they need another center along with Chad Holmgren there. They could go and they got pieces around them, and there's no state income tax again in OKC. Cost of living is cheaper. Yes, I understand, but if they're willing to pay you that amount of money to go over there, and the media is not going to be hampering on him if he doesn't play well or doesn't rebound at night or whatever the case, lack of talent that he might show at times here in New York, they're not going to really cure him that well. So those are the pros and cons there. And again, at the end of the day, it's mostly players make the decision, yes, but it also comes down to greedy agents. They want to get, remember, 4% on $25 million or 4% on $16 million. Think about that if you're an agent trying to make money to represent a player. That's at the end of the game. That's why they go. I'm like, that's what sports has become, chef.
Absolutely, it's I think everyone has realized and seen the power of the power of sports in America, the power of
Yes.
fame in America, and what it can do. Because I tell you this right now, like as much as like there's a lot of people out there that's trying to tell us that, oh, well, there's other leagues around the world that do just as well as the NBA. Yeah, you can tell us that, true, but the NBA is the only place that breeds those stars.
Mm.
Even the guy whose name that they want to say like, oh well, he was already famous in his home country. It's true, yeah, but I think the saying still stands true even from the time when Bruce Lee was trying to make it in the movies. You're not a star until you've crossed over and hit the American stage.
He stays injured. He's got to take the most money while his stock is high. Knicks 100. If that's the case, I'm not going to get mad at Isaiah Hartenstein either.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get mad. I think I'm at the point, or at least in my maturity as a sports fandom. If a player does, I'm not going to be like, oh, you burned us. You. If they're going to pay you more money to do the same, to play basketball on a different level, or your expectation that was different, I'm not going to. It'll hurt. It'll suck because I do like Hartenstein, what he could bring. A center who could pass in the paint, who could hit the floater, has a better offensive game than Mitchell Robinson. He's not the defender as Mitchell Robinson. He brings something different from Mitch, but those yin and yang at center, I like it because it keeps the NBA off their toes. And at least at the center position, because, oh, wait a minute, Hark is here. And then certain players tend to forget. They want to drive because they forget Mitch is there. Mitch is eating because that's what they play into his strength because they're so reacting to Hartenstein in the game. And meanwhile, because Mitch giving you a cold water of blocking in your face and all that stuff. So I kind of like that yin and yang back and forth with the center position. But the thing is, can they find someone there? Next one, you're talking about OG Anunoby. Isaiah Hartenstein has gotten that Achilles injury. I believe that's what Knicks 100 is talking about when he's talking about Isaiah Hartenstein. He goes, bigs are a dime a dozen. We could replace Mitch and Einhart with ease.
That's not the case in the NBA.
That's what I was going. I was like, if I tell you we were getting Aiden, if we
would
were
have
getting
been the
Aiden,
case.
you guys would be upset if we were to get Aiden.
Aiden is not. Yeah, he's not. Oh, whoa, no.
So
not every big is
dozen.
equivalent, and it's the same. And here's the other thing: not every big is going to play in the style of Tibbs' defense. That what Tibbs asks of his bigs is a lot. So, like for people to just say, bigs are a dime a dozen. Yeah, that might have been the case in the 80s and in the 90s. Maybe even a little bit in the early 2000s of basketball. But in this day and age, where there's so much spacing, these bigs are not, no. You gotta, when you have someone good, you can't just devalue them because you think the grass is always green.
And I agree with that. The foundation is the Nova Boys, and you build around them. Yes, they're the foundation in place, but you have to bring the right players to complement that foundation. You have to complement that. You're not gonna put single panel windows, on a, in a wood house. You're gonna put double because you want to make sure the windows are sealed in correctly. So I'm using it as a reference, as a building reference. But you get the point. You got to get the right players. Listen, if that was the case, the Knicks would have gotten Mo Bamba. One thing I do have faith in when it comes to Tom Thibodeau Tom Thibodeau, Johnny Bryant, and his coaching staff, because it's not just Tom Thibodeau, but he's the main head of the snake. Because I've said it before. I said it on Still Knicks Fans. I'll say it here on our channel. When it comes to Tom Thibodeau, he knows how to get the best out of the center positions. He's like a center whisperer. We saw it, and I meant, case in point, when he got to the Knicks, he kept Mitchell Robinson from being a foul machine. Play a little different. Move his footwork, work. And look what Mitchell Robinson has. He could now. Not only that, he stays on the floor longer. He plays now. He was going to be a defensive player of the year this year. Another point, example number 2, Nerlens Noel. Nerlens Noel under Tom Thibodeau had his best defensive season. He helped us in that We Here season to improve as a rim protector. Was a big part of anchoring the defense with that second unit and into the starting position when injuries happen. Even at times, Julius Randle playing a little more different on his defensive game. Jericho Sims, I gave him a lot of praise earlier in the season. If you remember that he wasn't picking up those silly moving fouls. He was doing the common similar things to Mitchell Robinson in the beginning when he first came up, and he's starting to fit and starting to work better under Tom Thibodeau. Now it's up to him now to continue to put that hard work, because I think this offseason for Jericho Sims is a make or break. The reason why is there's an example. If you continue to put the work in and listen to the offseason program, Miles McBride is the example. Keep working your butt off, because McBride, they moved quickly away and trusted McBride because they saw McBride putting his effort to a maximum level and getting the results. Now Jericho Sims should be and he's great pals with Miles McBride. That should motivate Jericho Sims. I got to get better because I have an opportunity here to be a backup center in not just for the league, but in this team where it had drafted me, and getting an opportunity like McBride to play and flourish. I'm excited for that. And now it's up to Jericho Sims, what he has, if he's hungry. That's my opinion going to this offseason.
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of these guys that biggest thing too that you don't want, Jedi, especially coming off of a year where you had a good run and you potentially want to push it further. You kind of don't want to spend the beginning of the year teaching guys the philosophies of the basics of the system. You don't want guys ingratiated what they know already. That way, if certain new wrinkles come in, that's what you're working on. You're not really working them on, trying to teach these guys, hey, well, let's get him all comfortable with Jalen and Randall and how they play again and watch for this. No, we're not. We don't have that time and that luxury of time to do that anymore.
Coach Thibodeau didn't, and that's why they didn't. I don't think because they didn't want to pull the trigger or whatever the case is. I don't think Coach Thibodeau feels he doesn't have the time for that, to experiment on bringing in a player from another organization, a star or disgruntled star, to try to acclimate everything for him. He's got a system and things in place that it proved to us, at least, his time here in New York, that it works, that Air's winning. If you buy into Coach Thibodeau's program and system, the results are going to be there. He's going to put you in a position to succeed and win. And if a player wants to come and change that apple cart, Thibodeau doesn't have the luxury to fight it or the energy. He has no, like they say, my time is running out. I got to win a title. I'm 62 years old. Time is ticking. And I understand people say he has to change his coaching philosophy and stuff. I think it will happen because we saw that with Tom Coughlin, and he knows. I'm in favor of Thibodeau's coaching. I personally, I would love them to. Speaking of Julius Randle, if they telling me Randle's returning, again. We know that, Chef. I'm not a big Julius Randle guy. But if they're telling me they're going to bring it back with Julius with this team and make a couple of tweaks here, I'm all right with that. I'm okay with it. If the nucleus or the main core is that, and maybe if we're bringing Julius and we lose Isaiah Hartenstein and bringing OG Anunoby, I'm going to be all right with it, Chef. And maybe we'll find a center like Nick 100 says. Maybe we could find another center in the free agent market that will fit. Mo Bamba's going to be a free agent. One of the Wagner brothers, Orlando's not planning to bring him, although he's not a center, he's more of a forward. But OG Anunoby, Precious Achua is also a free agent. We'll talk about him in a second. But if Julius Randle is returning to the team, I'm for it, Chef. I want to see it. I kind of want to see what does that look like. But again, Randle, if you're asking me, and it blunt to my head, Randle and OG Anunoby, man, that's a tough one, Chef. And I don't want my emotions to make the decision. I want to really think hard because they were really good with OG Anunoby, but OG gets injured and he's done for quite some time with the injuries. And I know people are gonna say Randall got injured, but those were both injuries on Randall were kind of fluky, Chef.
Absolutely, but in the same note, what I can't be so fearful of injuries.
I understand, because then we'll never go.
Like
Then we'll never go out.
Then you
Yeah.
never, if you were that scared to be hurt, then you would never
Yeah.
just leave your house. That's the like,
Correct.
that's the literal conversation to have. Is like when we were talking about, potentially, hey, maybe if you trade Randall for Zion, you could possibly get a better looking team. That would be the trade that I'm afraid of, because I know for a fact that, like, Zion and that diet issue, that's a want to.
Correct.
You don't have to. You can control that.
Yes.
Injuries,
You can.
you just play hard, and what happens happens.
I agree.
That's the reality of it. So in regard to being afraid of it, like, if the reason why I'm scared for signing the players because of injuries, I go, okay, well, is he injury prone in the sense that this man just can't stay healthy and he's not doing the things that he's supposed to be doing? Or is it that he's been playing hard and it's just a consequence of his play style because of the way he plays? And if it's the latter, I'm signing that guy up all day, because from my understanding, everyone talks about wanting 15 of those guys on the roster.
See, again, this is the classic. This is where people get when this is, again, when it comes to sports takes, people come in at the wrong time and they hear what you said and they misinterpret it. I get where the misinterpret is. We didn't want Zion Williamson. He's using Zion Williamson's example. We were talking about injuries. We can't worry about injuries. We could work, and he used an example, case in point, with Zion, where Zion is about his eating, his weight control. Not that we wanted him on our team. We didn't ask for Zion Williamson yet, although I've been an advocate of wanting Zion, but we didn't mention it. So when you come in and you hear that, we're thinking that we wanted Zion Williamson. No one mentioned Zion on the Knicks. I just wanted to clear that up before we go forward. I just wanted to make sure that we hear that. Because you come in now, you're thinking, oh, these guys are talking about Zion Williamson to the Knicks. These are ridiculous. It's not. No. We didn't say we wanted Zion Williamson. He's using Zion as an example about injuries and eating condition or conditioning. And speaking of conditioning, I don't think Joel Embiid is leaving Philadelphia. So can we get that out of the narrative? The Knicks are not trading for matter of fact, they're looking to add to Philadelphia to help Joel Embiid on there. Man, that
was the conversation we had, before the start of last season. I mean, the season that just ended. Like, was that, hey, at the end of the season, we'll see where it goes. But we remember we had that discussion, Jedi, off the air.
Yeah.
That,
yes. No, and I'll tell you the discussion. I said, you know what? With this Villanova 3, and I hate him, but Joel Embiid would be the perfect center to go along with the Villanova 3. With Brunson, the way he attacks, and the shooters at heart, it rebounds and attacks the basket, and Vincenzo shooting the 3 and Brunson as the captain, with Joel Embiid who could spread the floor and shoot the 3. That would be an ideal situation. But we know that's not going to happen. But we'll give you a thought of what we talked about off the air. Doesn't mean that's going to happen. No, of course not. We're just letting you know what we thought about it. Lauri Markkanen, that was being circulated on Twitter. I don't know if you're the Knicks now that you're doing well, and would you want to go trade with that snake, Danny Ainge? You could go. You know what? You could rot with the team, with the talent he has there. Why should we help? Unless we're fleecing him. This time we fleece him. We'll have the upper hand.
I mean, that's the only thing I would really. I'm really looking to is I'm gonna look at Lauri's game so far with Utah to see if it fits better with the Villanova boys than Randall does. But the other thing I'm gonna be keeping an eye on for that trade to happen is contract status and where Lauri's at. Like, these trades don't just happen willy nilly, right. One player for one or one and just thing. A lot of these contracts and the way they're written then versus
now.
What a lot of people are forgetting is now we're under a whole new CBA
Yes. And I like Laurie Markkanen's game, by the way. I think he fits the height that the Knicks need, the shooting, the spreading. But I don't know if he has the physicality, toughness that Randall brings. There's pros and cons on those two guys' games. Now, like you said, does it fit with the Villanova 3? That's all that counts, Chef Dan, right now. That's what counts.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Villanova 3, of course, we're looking at the Villanova 4, which a lot of names been circulated with Mikal Bridges, Bill Simmons, the famous gaslighting podcast host, Boston Celtic lover, is saying that the Knicks are interested in trading for Mikal Bridges. Of course, there was a couple trade package out there. Randall was one of them. They were talking about Mitchell Robinson with Miles McBride and some picks to Brooklyn. I don't see why Brooklyn will send Bridges for that package. Chef, I don't see Brooklyn, New York. Bridges is the team player that I believe that the Villanova 3 would love to have on their team, and I think all of us would. But that seems like it's a pipe dream. I mean, I could be wrong, but damn, I don't see that happening, dude. Man, I don't see that happening.
It may sound disparaging of Mikal Bridges. I'm just gonna say something that's just the reality.
Be real.
The reality of the situation is, thank you, Big Task. You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm not even gonna go you know what? Let me go in on what I was gonna say. Reality is Mikal Bridges has essentially the same team and better pieces than Kevin Durant had. He had the same team that better pieces than what Julius Randle had in the We Believe team, in the We Believe season, and he's not even making a dent like that. That's number one. Number two, and that's not to downplay what he can do on the court. It's just for how much Julius Randle gives us, he's not nearing that production right now. So that's the first thing. By himself, he doesn't, production for production give us what Julius can give us. Number two, and this is because it's easy. That's the easy journalism thing to do. That was so lazy, Jedi, that it was just. It's the same thing as when they were kept hinting that Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns may want to play together. Why? Because they were both on Kentucky together. So.
Okay. I'm gonna. Here's the thing about, and I'm gonna rebuttal the one with about Julius Randle and right here this one, especially this one. I want to swap Julius for Bridges. Bridges is a 3 and 4, not a number 1, but we have a number 1 in Brunson. Brunson needs complementary pieces, and I think Bridges will help him because he knows he's not a number 1 and would accept that role as a number 2 option, or even a 3 if Hart is on fire or DiVincenzo, rather than Randle might have an issue. And I'm not saying Randle does. I'm not saying that. I'm actually putting words in the mouth of Randle. That Randle is actually he wants to be a number 1. I don't know if he's willing to be a number 2, or that night he feels like he's a number 1, but Brunson is cooking in the ball movement, and Bridges will play off of that better, maybe a better fit, not a better player. Sometimes the better player doesn't fit the better system. That's that's all I'm being contrarian about that there. I'm not saying that, of course, anyone says that Randle I think is a better player than Bridges. Don't get me wrong, but maybe Bridges fits what the Knicks are trying to do better than Julius Randle. That's all I'm saying. I'm all I'm saying. Again, I don't want to say, well, you don't like Randle, Jedi. That's true. I don't like Randle too much, but I still want to go with Randle coming back. I'm saying it again. I kind of want to see Randle run it back if we're not going to, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm afraid. I'm gonna be honest with you, as a Knicks fan, I'm afraid of making a change that is gonna make the team worse. I like what we have now, and I'm gonna say, well, you're complacent. No, I'm not complacent because you've been in the second round 2 years in a row. You're right on that. But all these guys went down. All these injuries. Shit, I know injuries part of the league and part of the game, but man, if I could have 3 of those half of those people that went down to play, I think we would still be playing right now against Boston. And I kind of want to see that run back, Chef. That's just my take as we speak currently right now. Tim, if you're telling me, even if we wouldn't have brought Jules back, but if OG doesn't tear his hamstring, he's fully healthy and Hart don't get the abdominal. Even if you don't give me Big Mitch, I think we beat Indiana. We're again against Boston. We'll be playing against Boston. Just think if Mitch didn't get put into an ankle lock in the first round by Joel Embiid. Just think of that. How much different. Even if OG goes down with the hamstring and we have a Mitchell Robinson, I still think the Knicks go and play Boston.
Absolutely. There's a myriad of things that could have gone different, but it is what it is, man.
It is. I can't do
it. It is what it is. Look, even going to what I said, I wanted to hint to talk about in regards to the Eastern Conference Finals. Days removed from it, I can say this for the team. For what happened, I'm glad we didn't make it.
Because we would have got embarrassed. No.
Number one, we would have got embarrassed. But number two, and this is the biggest thing, like, I started to find myself in the middle of the Pacers series going, I just hope we can get past them just so we can say we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
No.
Now, do you want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals just to say you were there? Or do you want to actually compete? Now, if you want to actually compete, this wasn't the year to do it because so many guys fell by the wayside due to the injuries. So looking back at it now, I just go,
there's no excuses.
Yeah, you know what?
I don't want people before we get ridiculed and say we're putting excuses. We're not putting excuses, but I get your point, there, Chef. It's like going like why would you go to Disney World and go to the parking lot and not go into Disney World?
Yeah.
Or to the beach and not touch the sand and just go, not even to the boardwalk, just go to the parking lot of the beach and then leave.
Like who that? Yeah, that's a waste. Yeah, that's a waste of time.
Yeah, that's not fun. We didn't want that. And so we're talking this different trades, different scenarios, all the rumors. All these rumors are gonna start getting hot. I'm talking about hot like a pistol. The Knicks, you gotta put Knicks for clicks on it because first of all, it gets the Knicks Twitter going bananas, going crazy. I want to add some bench pieces, strong bench pieces. I know Burks is a free agent. I believe Bogdanovich Knicks 100. Is Bogdanovich a free agent as well, or is he signed for one more year with the Knicks? Because I know you were talking about Bogdanovich is better than Laurie Marketing, but I don't think Utah will trade you an older a younger marketing for older Bogdanovich, even if you had picks. They won't do that. They're gonna want something young back from the Knicks as well. Knicks one, you're right. They are a better player. You match them up, but remember the other teams want to get better too. So, I don't know if is he a free agent? I don't know if he's a free agent. To be honest with you, I didn't see him on the list. I know Harkenstein is, and of course Precious Achiuwa. Now Precious Achiuwa is an interesting one. I don't know if he's returning. To be honest with you, I would like him to be. But he's probably going to make upward around $15 to $14 million a season for what he brings, what he played for the Knicks. Even before he could, he's. Let put it this way: do you see him starting on a 30-win team?
Yeah, that's exactly. Like because he has the experience of being with the Raptors, because he has the experience of being with the Knicks. I could see a team that was currently in the lottery sitting there going, hey, we need a guy like him that he may not be the best offensively, but he can possibly be a vocal leader and knowing how to, tell guys where to be, what to do and things of that nature. He can be an extension of the coach as far as from the forward position. So I wouldn't, I'll tell you this right now, I wouldn't be surprised about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I think someone's going to pay, because remember, some of these teams that they need to fill out rosters, they will throw a 14, 12 million, million money to a press. I don't think Precious returns to the Knicks. I think we're going to lose Precious Achiuwa. I like Precious, but I don't know with the money. He's not going to take. Don't expect everyone because they had a nice season to have a team-friendly deal. I know he's from the Bronx. He grew up a Knicks fan, but at the end of the day, still making money. making a lot of money. And Knicks 100 said, they got further without Randall, but you're right. But damn, where everybody's asking, what if Randall was on that team? How much further they will be? How much they will elevate him? Again, it's a chemistry thing. Just remember this. Remember that January when every one of these players were together after the trade, the way that team was gelling. Before the injury rash, the Knicks in January were on, I believe they only lost 3 games in that month of January. That was a pleasure to do those games and watching those games on January before the injury against the Heat. That was something beautiful. We were wishing the NBA playoffs would start then, because my goodness, the team looked like a juggernaut. Everything was home humming, playing well. Even the substitution patterns were phenomenal by Coach Thibodeau, and everything was wonderful. And again, that's I guess the glimmer of hope that we hold on, that we want to see what this team looks like going forward together. And I don't blame Kevin Garnett wanted to get guys together. I mean, I understand that Gideon. I understand what you said. The Knicks need a point guard, especially coming off when Brunson has a rest, and maybe you could minimize Brunson's rest during the regular season. Not load management, but maybe some nights he'll play 27 minutes where you don't really need him. We have another point guard that things will move. He's not going to score or take over a game offensively, but he could get everyone in the right place with the ball movement. And we'll love them to get a point guard. I don't know if that point guard's out there. McConnell might be a name that's a free agent, but after he beat us, you really want that pest at 30. He's 35 years old, too. I mean, he might have a Happy Meal moment against the Knicks, and that's it. And you don't want to, he beat me, but then he comes in here, he was nothing that you expected or saw in the postseason from a TJ McConnell. Another name I think is Malik Monk is out there, a shooter. A guard. I don't know what that's going to cost. Now here's the question: are there veterans that would like to take a veteran exception, a vet minimum, just to try to play onto the Knicks and try to help the Knicks to that next level? Chef, do you think there's any veterans that would like to want to play with Jalen Brunson, like the way we saw when LeBron was in his heyday, that wanted to come and took vet minimums, took pay cuts just to play, just try to chase the ring or chase an opportunity?
There could be, but once again, this is all speculation coming off of numbers that we don't know yet. We don't know how big the cap is ballooned, and we don't know what signings have happened. So in regards to that, I know, there should definitely be some people that saw the way New York was rolling in the postseason and want to join it, but I just can't dive too much into that yet.
Right. We don't know what exactly is out there. Chris Paul, I mean, he's another aging guy. I mean, and a vet minimum, I won't say no for Chris Paul, but you kind of want to. I like McBride. Yes, I think McBride is a shooting guard, that hybrid shooting guard. But I kind of want that. And CP3 might be that veteran point guard to play, that 14-minute. That's okay coming off the bench. Kind of like what Derrick Rose was, Chef. Rose knew that sometimes he's gonna ride the pine. He's gonna be a coach's decision not to play, but he stood ready when it's time to play. I don't know if Chris Paul were willing to come over and do that. I don't know where he's at.
I don't want to take that opportunity away from Deuce McBride. It was this was literally his first time being in the rotation after having little stints and sprinkles here and there. I'm not opposed to Deuce McBride keeping that position that he's had off the bench and gaining more familiarity too, because when he came on, it was good.
But he kind of played more of a shooting guard role, Chef, not a point guard.
But that's what
he was great and he was good at it. But I kind of want someone as a point guard to help the load when Brunson is being. One thing that Pacers series, if you put full court pressure on Brunson, you can either exhaust him, tire him out. You need another guy to help him bring the ball up, who could create and break down the defense. McBride is great at shooting the three. And he's that tough tenacity kid. But I don't know if he has that yet.
Yeah, but Jedi, that's not usually the role of the guy coming off the bench. And historically, for anything, even when we want the guy to be a good point guard coming off the bench, that's after you've attacked the bench unit. You want this guy to come off the bench, get instant points, be in attack mode. So that's why, regardless of whether it was Emmanuel Quickly, Deuce McBride, even Derrick Rose when he was coming off the bench, he was in attack mode getting buckets. So traditionally, that's what you want your sixth man to do. I'm not opposed to once again it being Deuce McBride taking up that role.
No, you're taking you're now you're doing two different. I'm not saying McBride should be your sixth man, Chef. I'm not saying no. I'm not disagreeing with you with that. But I need a point guard as well to control the tempo of the game. And that's where we getting our mix up, our signals. I still think the first man off the bench should be McBride. Instant offense. He fit that role. He earned it with his hard work. But I still need another person to help with the ball, set up the offense. And in case Brunson has an ankle injury here or something there nagging, you don't have to. He's a tough son of a gun. He'll play. But if sometimes, you know what, tonight, big guy, I'm going to go on big guy because this guy, he might be 6'2", but he's got balls of a 7-footer. Big guy, you need to sit for, let's hold on a minute. We're going to let you rest this game. We got a point guard who can run this show offense. We'll move McBride, and we have a guy that can come off the bench to facilitate with the second unit. I kind of wish they could find that. Even if it's a project, even if it's someone late in the first round, point guard that shows that he's not offensively gifted, but could run the off, it's an NBA point guard, but just doesn't have the shot. I'm okay with that, Chef.
If that's the case, then we could always get Shake Milton to come back and do something of that nature. That's not the biggest need for me.
All right. I kind of do. I kind of want an insurance policy, even if it's the 12th man or the 11th man in the Knicks roster. I kind of want to see another point guard on this team. That's just a true point guard nature. I know McBride could be the number 2. I have no problem, but I kind of need that third pure facilitator. And Shake Milton's a free agent. If they bring him back there, I'm all right with that too, Chef. But as long as he gets some playing time in the off-season program for the Knicks in Thibodeau's system, then I'm all good with that as well, personally. But that's one concern. Of course, the power forward. I know we were lack of size, but look how far we won 50 games. We were second seed. I don't know if you want to go to the well too many times here, but I mean, I draft pick wise, let's talk about draft pick here. They have a bunch of. You know what? I've got the graphic. I think I made the graphic here for what they have coming up. I don't know. They when it comes to this, I'm a little bit confused with the way the Knicks operate. Right now, they have $156 million. They're in the tax threshold. The tax threshold is 171. So the let's say $20 million argument sake away from the tax threshold. Those are the free agents. So okay, Brooks. So Bogdanovich is not a free agent. So Bogdanovich is returning, ladies and gentlemen. I should have went with this from the very beginning. OG Anunoby has a player option. If he opts in, is $19 million for OG, which he's not. We know he's opting out. Hartenstein is a free agent. And, of course, Achua is a restricted free agent. So the Knicks could bring him back on a contract and see if anyone offers him a deal. So Achua is going to have to get overpaid to move on from the Knicks. The Knicks could bring him back maybe at $9 million per year if they offer him that. But here's they're going to have the 24th, the 25th, and the 38th pick this upcoming draft, Chef Dan. Do they draft these players or do they make one move?
That's dependent on what the cap number is.
Yeah, they should be.
That's a lot of this. A lot of this information is dependent on how much space you actually have versus how much you're kind of
right there. The number's right there.
No, Jedi, once the season's over, once they start the new season, they tell you what the new cap room is. So then they'll tell you how much cap space you actually have. They haven't given us that yet. So this is a number that's okay for now, but this I can't do.
No, Chef. It's $141 million, the cap number currently right now, and the Knicks it went up. The number is 141 and it has went up. Let me double check. I'm gonna double check here. I'll do that right now as I speak. Let me Google it, and they'll tell me right now. It's 141 million, and and the new number should go up. It should go up to one. I believe it was going to go up to 155.
Yeah, that's just an estimate. We don't know what the actual number, whether it goes up or whether because I say this with the NFL, and not to just deviate to other sports, but with the NFL, a lot of teams thought they were going to have a certain cap space, but because of COVID and the way the spike didn't occur for that year, when it came to this year, the spike became huge. So it gave teams a lot more leeway to do certain things. You don't know what that number is going to be.
It's telling me here 141 again from NBA.com. It's 141. 24-25 season, it called for $141 million cap number. This year was 136. So it went up to 141. It went up
5 million?
It's
never gone up just 5.
Yeah. 136 for 22, and now this year is going to be raised 5 million compared to the current salary cap at 136 million. Google it; it'll tell you right there. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to say I'm wrong. We gave the wrong information, and I make sure it's NBA, not NFL. It's NBA. It's the NBA, not the NFL. I mean, so right now, the Knicks are not at their first threshold. They're under it. They're under it by 20 million from the first threshold. That's why they have flexibility to supposedly trade for a superstar, add a superstar, and with draft picks and move. They could always move those draft picks for later draft picks. Obtaining more draft picks for future drafts and so forth like that. Or they could package those drafts and move up. They were talking to them, I believe, moving up to number 5, if I'm mistaken, from Detroit, and selecting at 5, giving Detroit a plethora of draft pick. Pretty much the whole this year's draft pick.
I've never seen those amount of low picks jump up to get you right into the lottery.
I'm pretty sure a player is going to be involved, but that's what they're. The main story is the Knicks will be picking 5, make a trade with Detroit. I don't know what's involved with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure either. Once again,
I know. No. I don't. I'm just putting it out there. What moves? What's on the table for the Knicks? What direction they going? We don't know what direction they're going. This is why it's the hypothetical. We're asking these questions. What if they move? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it something that will help the franchise? Would it hurt the franchise? Those are the questions we're asking here. This is the time to ask it before the tip off of the new season starts. I mean, those are all these good questions right now that this organization and a crossroads. Do you think that? I think this organization is on a bit of a crossroad. Do they stay plat? Do they feel or tell us as a fan base they plateaued, or they're willing to make a extension? They take the next step.
Yeah, like you said, it's a crossroads. Not as heavy a crossroads as last year, but it's a better crossroads than they were last year as opposed to this year. Jedi, I got to get ready to leave. I got to take care of some business outside of the house.
No problem.
It's really fun doing this. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, brother.
Okay, Chef Dan.
All right, brother. All right. Peace out. Thank you guys so much.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up in a minute here as Chef Dan will step off here for a moment. And here we go. So we got our plans here. We talking about the Knicks real quick. Again, what a season for the Knicks. What a process. Of course, we would like to see the coach get re-signed. We will find out with the Julius Randle. Anything that happens with the Knicks throughout the all season, we'll make some emergency podcasts. We'll come back on and talk some Knicks. Any moves, any coaching Because remember, maybe Johnny Bryant gets poached from the Knicks somewhere. If there is, we'll react. We'll do any of those reaction videos. We'll come back on a live and talk about it. And of course, anything that happens with any rumors, Paul George. I don't want Paul George. He's older, not at that salary that he's bringing. And again, he's got. I like the way the Knicks are working with their cap. They're young. The right veteran player has to come at the right cost. And again, I'm like I said before, I'm a little afraid of them making a move and taking 2 steps back. That's all I'm going to say with that. Not to sound like I'm going redundant or back and forth on the same topics, but we'll see what the Knicks do. We'll see how this modern NBA now, when it comes to how they value the big guy, the center, is going to be interesting on Isaiah Hartenstein. I kind of want to see what the market, if the market is out there, will the Knicks be baited in a bidding war for Isaiah Hartenstein, which we know they cannot pay him more than $18 million, I believe, on the current NBA agreement on the rate. They don't have his bird rights. They can only offer him X amount of dollars per year. Again, will the team outbid him? Precious Achiuwa, restricted free agent. Will teams put a bid that the Knicks won't want to match and say, you know what, do like similar to a Jerry Milin contract, and it says, you know what, thank you, you was a serviceable player, you played well under Coach Thibodeau, but now we'll say thank you so much. We'll move on from Precious Achiuwa. Look, Precious Achiuwa, I think, is a hell of a rebounder who could defend. We will find out what he'll be. They don't have to pay They don't have to pay Randall. No, but Randall's eligible for an extension. Now, and speaking of Randall is eligible for an extension between 4 years, 150 to 140. He took another team friendly, and if he takes another one, I don't know. Will the Knicks extend Randall? I don't know. I don't think so. Also, we could be good if we could respect players also who can command and get calls. Referee can be headache at times, make a difference. Yes, absolutely. Get some respect along the leagues. But I guess if the Knicks continue to play well and continue to persevere, they're going to get the calls because they've been there now. The Knicks next season should get more benefit of the whistles, especially Brunson, because now they've been a staple at the postseason. They're not fluky. They're not despite what Draymond Green says, they're not fluky. This is the playoff. This team has been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. 3 out of the last 4 years. This is a good team. The league the officiating should see that. There's a scouting report. There's a tendencies of what the Knicks do, what they don't do, where and so forth. They'll start getting some calls, in my opinion, next season. Yeah, or if they don't do, Knicks 100. You took the words right out of my mouth. If the Knicks don't do anything in the offseason, don't panic. They're bringing everyone back because they've shown that they're not afraid of doing something in the trading deadline like they did this season with OG Anunoby, at least until the trading deadline. Yeah, they made a nice move, but they will want Paul George instead of OG Anunoby. Man, maybe because I don't see George night in, night out. I don't have the appreciation or the value for George. I'm going to be the first one honest. Maybe if I see him play night in, night out and do the watch-ons and cover him and see how wonderful he plays, I might have a better appreciation for George. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I had that same feeling with OG Anunoby a little bit. The lack of appreciation. Like, okay, OG's good. I mean, they like him. And then when he played, I have seen him night in, night out, and how he made everyone better around him by cutting to the basket, defending, and all that stuff. Made me appreciate an OG Anunoby. Maybe I need to see that with a Paul George. So I maybe again, I'm gonna have an open mind. We don't need no nice guys. I mean, they need some dogs in this team. But you saw Precious Achiuwa put a nice poster, a nice one out there about being you have to be a dog before you bark or something like that. He put something on Instagram. It was really cool. That was nice of him, of Precious. Hey, it'll be interesting. I can't wait to see again. So I'm gonna call this a night here. We're gonna we appreciate I Love Pie again. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you guys for seeing every one of you. Again, if the subs, the likes, all that comes through, we'll do more Nick content. We'll do more Nick content on it. I'm willing to do it, even if I'm on a solo. I invited Ron on from Still Nick Fan didn't come on. I invited a few people, but again, thanks for Chef Dan. We wanted to close it out. We want to thank you guys. You guys that watch along with us night in, night out. The family. You are my Knicks family, my family, the family out here. You guys were phenomenal. Big task at hand. Knicks 100, Gideon, Johnny Davis, I Love Pie, Steven, Wombat, Johnny Davis, Sheldon Darrell Johnson, Kelvin T. Jones, Vernon B. Haglin. You guys are phenomenal. Our number one draft pick, Johnny Davis, always going to always be our number one draft. I'm going to use that until I don't do a stream no more, Johnny Davis. I'll be the channel's number one draft pick. That's a joke, and that's a privilege that we got you branded on that, my friend. All you guys are phenomenal. Listen, it's weird not getting ready for a Knick game and not seeing you guys. I hope, I really enjoyed you guys. Thank you for stopping in on different streams and saying hello, and of course, and doing the Rangers, the wrestling, any other sporting events. Appreciate you guys. I always love seeing hello and shouting you guys out. Love seeing you guys there because, I don't know, it just tells me you're there. I know you guys, even though you even the lurkers that don't come out and say hello. You guys are always there. Thank you. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Me and Shadan, we want to say thank you because without you guys, there won't really be no channel. We'll just be talking to, just talking into who knows who. But you guys are the audience that listens, that gives us your time and your ears, and we appreciate that, baby. We appreciate that, man. Let's go. George can do everything OG can do. Hey, again, Knicks 100. It's a player that I gotta probably see him to appreciate it. And I'm with you. I'm gonna have an open mind. If the George things happen for New York, I'm gonna have an open mind on that. And all of these players. And if once, this is a person that gave Andrea Banjani an opportunity. So I know I could do that to other players, man. So again, guys, we appreciate you guys here tonight. This was fun. What a hell of a season. It's nothing to be ashamed about what the Knicks came away, what they gave us in 23-24. Don't let anyone take your joy of what we saw this season from the Knicks' perspective, because if they were terrible, they would have been crapping on us. They would have been making. Listen, this is a franchise that Disney made fun of in the movie Up. Not no more. This is a team now that plays in, night out, busts their rear end, works hard, drives to the basket, do the right basketball IQ, listen to a coach, and endears the spirit of New York City. And for that's why we are proud. We have orange and blue pride, and we are prideful of this team. And we'll continue to be a Knick and show our Knicks colors no matter where we go. If it's South Florida, Utah, Siberia, we are New York Knicks. With that said, guys, may the sports be with you, and have a blessed night. And we'll talk again, friends, soon once there's some more Knicks news. Have a good night. Peace out.